Hi everyone, and welcome to Rituals of Strength. I'm your host Kevin Secours, and this week, as you might have noticed, I'm not in my usual locale. I'm in Laval, Quebec, here at the beautiful headquarters for the International Fujian Flying Crane Fist Association. And the reason I'm here is because it is my extreme honor and my pleasure to interview a man that I regard as a living legend. He's a member of the Canadian Black Belt Hall of Fame, a local Montrealer, Sifu Lorne Bernard. Sifu Lorne, how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
I really appreciate you making the time. I've known you for a long time, obviously in the industry, and you've always been at the highest level, always regarded as one of the pure guys out there, hardcore training. I always look at it like a superhero story. So I always say, what's our origin story? What is it that got you into martial arts? How did you get started?
I think, people believe in fate or destiny. My father was an amateur boxer. He had like 45 fights. So I learned I learned a little bit of boxing at 10 years old, and I loved it. Yeah. My mother stopped us because there was blood on the floor, and she went nuts, and it was like, okay, So I had to wait a few years.
Old school day.
Old school, yeah. He was like, keep your hands up, and and I learned jab and right cross, and honestly, that saved my ass a few times. Just jab, right cross. Yeah. You already won the fight against most people. Anyhow. And I come from a Shamadi, which people don't know. Shamadi was kind of rough back in the day. Yeah. And so I come from a rough neighborhood. For us, selling drugs and stuff was normal. Everybody did it, Yeah. And so that's where I come from. I hang around biker bars. I was 14, 15 with patch guys. And so I come from that background. I didn't fight because I was a little kid, but I saw a lot and I saw what's real and oh shit. So I had a love for that. And when I went to university, out of the bunch of kids, my friends would go, Lorne, you're the smart one, go to school. My parents wanted me to go to school. I wanted to meet girls, so I went to university. And in university, there was a guy from Malaysia who did a demo. So this is 1983. So 1983, Kung Fu was popular. Bruce Lee had died like 10 years ago. Everybody wanted to learn Kung Fu. Quite frankly, there was a lot of bullshit Kung Fu floating out there because you could just call it.
How much was in Montreal at the time? Was there a lot of schools?
The real Kung Fu schools?
Yeah.
There was real Tai Chi. I'm Tai Chi guys who fought with gloves, like real Tai Chi, okay? There was Li Man Chan, Li Shu Pak. Those were Tai Chi masters. And there was Long Kai Sifu, who was the Chorley foot master. In those days, it was like, you go, there's an old Chinese man teaching like, obviously real Kung Fu. He had hundreds of students. It was big, big, big. And then my teacher came, and then people started showing up. So anyways, my teacher shows up from Malaysia. He's a young man. I see the demo, and he tells people in the crowd, punch me in the stomach. So we're like, okay, this is real. Like he doesn't even know these people, and they're all punching him in the stomach. And then he did a downward punch, and I never saw that in my life because in boxing, no downward punches, right?
Yeah.
So anyways, long story short, my friend says, "You want to join?" I joined, and my friend stayed a month, and I stayed, the rest of my life basically.
And it nonstop since then.
Nonstop since then.
Okay.
And a few years later, like he was a good guy. He wasn't a master because he had studied maybe 4 years in Malaysia as a young man. He had done Tang Sudo before, so he had good kicks. He was in good shape. It was perfect. But eventually, he explained to me by 88, Kung Fu is dying. Real Kung Fu, like traditional Kung Fu, is dying. The school in Malaysia is not doing good. I only learned this much. Can you go and learn some more? So of course, I went for the trip of a lifetime, and I studied with his teacher, who was about 80 years old at the time. And I met all the old students. And the school was already kind of dying. They only did lion dance. There wasn't many students training. But what changed my life was his teacher's son was about 32. I was about 23. It's easy to go and have a drink after. We're practically the same age. And so I befriended his teacher's son, who was fantastic. It was, when I saw his teacher's son and the grandmaster, you see an old man who's like, he just grabs you like, oh shit. And then he goes, oh, I can fix that. And he puts medicine, drink this. And I'm like, and he does calligraphy. It was like a movie, you know what I mean? But there were Kung Fu masters like that. But now, less and less and less, they all died.
Yeah.
So that's how I started.
Now, I'm not as knowledgeable on this. So sometimes it's spelled with a K. Fujian is more of like a Roman anglicized?
Fujian is actually the way the people of theirs pronounce it. They'll say Fujian. But in Mandarin, it's Fujian. But it's the same thing.
How would you describe this system to someone who's never seen it?
Okay, so in general, the Fujianese martial arts are similar to the Hakka martial arts. Why? Because Hakka people means northern guests. So they all short elbows in. So karate, you can see, comes from this. Okay, elbows in, mostly hands, not that much kicking. So that's generally speaking, Hakka and Fujian systems are that very fighting oriented, no flowery stuff. They don't like stuff like that. Fujian white crane comes from a woman. Her name is Fang Qinyang, and there's different stories. Then it becomes kind of business, you know what I'm saying? Business is business, you know. But in ours lineage, it's orally passed down lineage, and it will coincide with the orally passed down lineages of the other guys. So I'm quite, if you all have the same story, there must be a reason, you know.
How long ago would that have been that she created this?
1760, 1780, something around there, you know, maybe 18. I think before 1800. So she created this system, and it branched out into 4 main branches. So it's not during her lifetime, it's probably her students. So one is eating crane, flying crane, that's me, screaming crane or singing crane, and ancestral crane or sleeping crane. So eating crane, why? Because when they get closer, bam, there's a lot of mental, really good power. They just eat. Flying crane is because the way we move. Actually, years ago, my teacher would kill me for saying this, but now it's okay. It's the way we move. So when, see, this is a plane, but a crane.
Yes.
So you're just, oh shit, he's moving. What the heck? So we have good footwork. So we have the long wings and we have good footwork. So that's flying crane. We used to tell people it's because of the flying kicks, but that was a lie.
Is there a lot of elasticity in the legs, kind of, or buoyancy?
In Chinese, we say tun tu, swallow, spit, float, sink. It's a very common concept. Yeah. So it's how we float and sink. Same as you see Mike Tyson. He sinks and then he comes back up.
Yes.
Tun tu. So I'm sorry, chun fo. Tun tu is swallow, spit. So maybe when the punch comes, swallow, spit.
Yes.
So it's because we do a lot of that. So yes, elasticity. You're just saying the same thing in a different way.
Western.
So when I see no matter what martial art, you can tell their level. When he's moving like a robot, I'm like, okay, no. You know, we want to be like, my teacher would rarely show because he didn't like people blindly copying him. So I had a student who would do this. I go, why's your finger there? Well, Grandmaster does it that way. Yeah, why? I don't know. So you're doing it for no reason. That's dumb. Yeah. You know, so he didn't like to show. But when he showed me, because I was disciple, but when he moved, he'd have 3 or 4 beer and start jumping around, and he moved, I swear to God, like a gazelle. I was like, what the heck? Yeah. And you got to get light on your feet. You got to, how many Kung Fu guys are... And I'm like, you think if you move like that, you're going to be able to defend yourself? You need to be light on your feet. We need both. We need some stability, strong, and then light on your feet. I'll get back to that later.
Amazing. I think it's safe to say it's a very traditional style.
Yes. Okay. Especially under my guidance, because I refuse to Yeah.
And I respect that fully. What, as a Canadian, what drew you to something that traditional?
See, again, because I came from the streets, I wanted to learn how to fight. I thought in 1983, Kung Fu is the ultimate art in my mind. Yeah. We never even heard of Thai boxing back in those days, okay? Yeah. And to be fair, the Kung Fu guys and Kajukembo guys were the toughest guys out there. Yeah. There was some guys you did not want to, he would have done a tornado kick in your head and you would have been out like a lamb. Yeah. So there was some real guy, and people, tornado kicks don't work. Well, don't fight that guy because you're going to learn a lesson in life. You know what I mean? Right?
Yeah.
So I want to learn how to fight. And traditional Kung Fu is about fighting. And if it wasn't, I would have walked out of the school. And one time I almost did. I was in Malaysia. Master Lee, my teacher, was very old-fashioned. In other words, he didn't teach you quickly. He didn't know you. A lot of the things are to kill. It's not a sport. So if he doesn't know you, he doesn't want to teach you. So I was doing a move and I asked him, what's this for? And he kind of went, oh, don't worry about it. And I started packing my suitcase. And he looked at me, what are you doing? I said, well, if you're not going to teach me, I'm not going to stay. And he went, no. And then he changed. So just to show you. So that's why. And I saw the real guys, and they're fucking killers. You know what I mean? So they slap you in the face, and you're like, that was hard. He goes, yeah, it's supposed to be a phoenix eye. I could have killed you. I just slapped you because I like you. Oh, so then, that's what attracted me to traditional Kung Fu.
Was there a moment, because now you're and I want to get the right verbiage, you're the head, the custodian, the inheritor of the lineage, right?
Yes.
Did I read correctly? Because I was Googling you, and I was on there all over the place. You're the first Caucasian disciple of the style, and certified master of it?
Definitely, yes.
So was there a point in your training where you went from being an enthusiastic practitioner and you said, wait a minute, I have kind of a responsibility to keep this treasure alive, where you started feeling...
That would be early on. I realized not a lot of people are practicing. in Malaysia, especially when cell phones came out, they just dropped everything for cell phones. They're completely addicted to their cell phones.
Yeah.
It's pitiful, you know.
Yeah.
So I knew I had a responsibility to learn, but it never occurred to me that I would one day become the leader of the system. Just like it never occurred to me that one day I'd be friends with all these famous martial artists. You just don't dream of it.
Yeah.
Or musicians, and oh yeah, I'm buddies with them or whatever. And you know, it just life happens that way, you know. Like so early on, I knew I wanted to learn the art and then preserve the art. I find what happens a lot is people like, I'm going to share my art. I'm like, well, did you learn it all? No. So you're sharing what you know.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of special. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not into that. You know? So I'm going to teach iron palm. So you do iron palm. Yeah. So you train every day, half an hour. No. What are you doing?
Yeah.
This is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. You know, there's a lot of bullshit out there, you know?
A lot.
And this is where the gentlemen like ourselves, we're classy people. So what do we say? Nothing. What am I supposed to say? Oh, that guy is no good, or that's bullshit. Yeah. You don't say nothing. It's inappropriate.
Yeah.
So we don't say nothing, you know. So later on in life, I got stuck in Kung Fu politics. In Chinese, it's very hard to switch teachers. So my first teacher was jealous, whatever, I don't want to get into it. And he kind of made problems for me. Yeah. So I used to call Master Li my uncle, 师伯 in Chinese. But I heard him saying in Chinese, oh, he's my disciple. So I'm like, how can I be your disciple if I'm calling you uncle? So I knew already years ago. And I knew eventually I became one of his best students. There's another guy called Pen Jian, who's a really good fighter. And then at some point, he just went to me, you're my disciple. And I went, what? You know, and I was like, and then I became, that's how it happened. So it wasn't, it's like you don't join an MC, they ask you. You know what I mean? Like
and was this the point when you became a closed door disciple?
Yes. So closed door, actually, it's funny. He taught me something, which I went, cool, and I learned it. And I didn't realize. And later, when I became his disciple, now one day he called me up, he was a bit drunk. And 3 a.m, of course, because they like to make sure they bother the white guy, you know. And the guy, my other uncle goes, Lorne, Grandmaster wants to make you the inheritor of the. So I'm like, what? He goes, he wants to make you the inheritor. I'm like, what? He was saying the inheritor. And I didn't understand. And of course, when I understood, oh, wow, thank you so much. And yeah.
It's pretty major.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I had a cognac that night, that's for sure, you know.
Yeah. Now, you spoke a bit about Malaysia. It was obviously eroding at the time, kind of fading. Yes. Are there elements of Malaysia or training in Malaysia that were positive that you kept?
Of course. I mean, everything I learned from Malaysia, so I owe them a great debt. I'm just lucky that I think the reason I learned so much is because I have schools.
Yes.
So when I would invite him to Canada, I would pay his trip. We would both make money, and he was teaching, and he was happy to teach because in Malaysia nobody wanted to learn.
Yeah.
Stupid, you know, like so the fact that I had schools, I learned a lot more than other people because he did a seminar. And then when at some point around 2007, I noticed, I'm like, can you know, I wouldn't ask him to teach me a form, but he wasn't teaching me a lot of new stuff, but he was teaching me all the details of application. And you know, like, so in Chinese we say, 功夫是用法,不是套路. Kung Fu, or skill, is in application, not in pretty moves. I can do 12 monkeys, good for you, nobody cares. If I grab your bicep, you go, ah, or not. Yeah. That's the real question. So he was focusing on teaching me the nitty gritty, the secret parts, whatever. When you become a closed door disciple, there's a ceremony, you offer him tea, that's the old fashioned way. They give you a little red book, that's the proof. This is before video. So a guy says, you're not his disciple. Well, I have the book, do you? No. You know what I mean? Like, end the story, you know? Especially if you only gave one book. In my case, there was only one book ever given. So, and now it's easy because we have a video and people were there, whatever. So when he makes you closed door disciple, what happens is he goes, Lorne, never give me money again. And what do you want to learn? And I'm like, anything you want? Just tell me what you want to learn. So that's the difference, you know? But he was already teaching me openly. And then he told me, oh, you know that thing I taught you 15 years ago? I go, yeah. He goes, that was closed door disciple stuff. I'm like, I didn't know. And, you know, so that was...
Now, we're close in the same age, so we've seen the eras, you know.
From Shokusogi
to... I'd say Kung Fu first, then...
Yes.
Then, of course, UFC came along, MMA, BJJ. As somebody who... Because I have a lot of instructors that listen to this. How do you balance maintaining something so pure and traditional? Do you have any consciousness of trying to make it appealing to the modern, or is it precisely that you don't that makes it appealing?
Good question. People think I'm good in business, and I would say I'm somewhat skilled in business because I own a martial arts supply store and this, but I'm not. I'm not like, look, you were just explaining to me tech stuff. I have no idea. So I don't know that I'm successful. I know that in the last 10 years, we have a lot less young men than we used to. And I also know I can't compete with a multi-billion-dollar industry. I mean, these guys own television networks,
Yes.
So same when I see, drives me nuts, by the way, and I respect the MMA athletes. I respect everybody, okay?
Of course.
But when a guy tells me a MMA spinning back fist, I'm like, you're joking.
Yeah.
Seriously, or a Superman punch. Just so you know, newsflash, in Choi Li foot, it's called Fei Chop Choi, a flying chop choi. It's a 1850 technique.
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Yes.
Or this and that. They're just stealing from everybody and calling it their own. I'm like, come on, at least be honest.
Yes.
So I think it's not my market, but I do regret losing some of the young men because I get a young guy, if you want hands, learn boxing. Again, I started in boxing. I also fought boxers half my life. My Kung Fu brother was an ex-professional boxer. Boxing is good, but is it better than Mokgar? How so? Is it better than Choigar? How so? Is it better than Choi Li foot? How so? So you don't know the fucking answer to the question, but you're telling me boxing is best. It's bullshit, So I don't like.
Well, there's a huge misconception in the West that the traditional arts never compete, that they don't spar, and it's just...
Let me tell you a funny story, okay? So I'm sitting 1988. I'm 23, 24 years old. I'm sitting with the Grandmaster of White Crane, a guy who literally people didn't walk away from, if you understand, okay?
Yeah.
He changed his name, okay? I mean, for Christ's sakes, okay?
Yeah.
And I asked him, and his daughter's translating because he doesn't speak a word of English, okay? And I asked him, do you spar? I'm a young man. And he looks at me, what? And I go, do you spar? And he just mumbles in Chinese, and his daughter starts to giggle. You know what the answer was? The fuck does the street for? That's how he sparred. They fought outside. No gloves, no rules. You want to fight? Let's fight.
Yes. Yeah.
So that changes everything. It's like, wow. It was like a stupid question, kid. And I was like, just to show you,
Yeah.
So this whole Kung Fu doesn't fight. This is...
Yeah.
You know what killed Kung Fu? All the bullshit. How many guys opened Kung Fu schools that were A, not Kung Fu, B, not skilled, C, learned, or maybe learned half? But half isn't the whole thing. You shouldn't be teaching if you don't know the whole thing, I do 3 months of jiu-jitsu and I open a school in way up north. Nobody knows the difference. Come on, it's not all right,
My old teacher used to say death touch with no conditioning is no death touch.
Well, 100%,
if you're not doing all the conditioning.
Same in my Kung Fu, we punch with a phoenix eye. So this is relatively easy to train.
Yeah.
But the older students is this way. This is really hard.
Yeah, you guys don't like in us. We keep ours the same length.
Yes, we do both.
You do both. Yeah,
we do
but
both.
I notice a lot of your work. You've got like
I
the conditioning. Yeah.
I honestly don't do enough, but I do more than your average person. But he's still alive. I think he's 97. Mr. Wang Chuling. He would be the senior. I'm the head, but he's the senior. If you follow me, he's 97. And he trained his fingers. And I have him on video. And I ask him. I go, did you train the jars? We train with jars. Yep. He goes, no. That's weird. My teacher always told me to do jars. We have bundles of sticks. We train our shins. Yeah. Do you train your shins? No. So I'm like, wait a sec. This is the senior guy in my style. He didn't do half the basic
Just exercise. The fingers.
Just the fingers. I know. A son of a bitch. Then I ask him in the fingers. Then he's showing me. And he has a special, which I won't share. He has a special method for training his fingers. I'm like, okay, that's kind of, I understand. It's a little hardcore. How long? Half an hour a day for 45 years, 7 days a week. So when he gets here, you're finished. Which one are you going to block? Which one? His fingers are like steel spikes.
Yeah.
So people, ha, 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 ha. When he touches you, we'll see who's laughing. I experienced, same the Grandmaster, I remember he grabbed my skin. And I was like, I'm 24. I'm like, what the hell is he doing? Then his son, oh shit, man. It's not a joke. But you have to have the conditioning. And most people skip that part because it's too hard or it's boring or whatever it is,
Is there, we can speak for days about things that drive us crazy about martial arts as a whole.
No, we want to be positive too,
But is there won't even say necessarily bad marketing, but is there a misconception within the Chinese martial arts that drives you crazy? That people...
There's two misconceptions, I won't say within, but just the public has towards Chinese martial arts, especially today in 2025. First is all they do is forms. Mm-hmm. That is ridiculous. Forms is a very important part, but we have forms. We have something called Duidat, two-man forms. We have free fighting, and I mean free, and we don't wear gloves. Thank you very much. Yep. So that's a big difference. The guys are, they don't fight. Shit, you guys wear gloves. Who's laughing at who? Yeah. When I was in Malaysia, I put shin pads and glove on. They were laughing. They were crying. They were laughing so much. Yeah. See, even today, I'm not sure. I might be wrong, but I believe 40 years ago, Thai boxers didn't wear shin pads.
Yeah. Yeah, never growing up.
So what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So we train our shins, for Christ's sakes, you know? So that's the first thing that pisses me off, is they think we only do forms. Again, a school that does only forms is not traditional. No way. It's not traditional. B, they don't fight. Again, of course we fight. If you don't fight, you don't do martial arts. I'm sorry, you know? So when you see people say wushu, so first of all, we have to be clear. Xiandai wushu is modern wushu. Truyền统 wushu, like Wing Chun, White Crane, whatever, is traditional wushu. Xiandai wushu basically doesn't fight. That's fine, but that's not us. We're not the same guys. That's like saying karate and jiu-jitsu is the same thing. Xiandai wushu is a modern art created by the communists. They're fantastic athletes. They generally don't fight. If they do fight, they have something called sanda, which is a separate thing, which has basically nothing to do with it. The traditional kung fu, if you have a move like this, if you can't use it in fighting, you're a lousy student. I mean, if you have this move, you're supposed to practice it. No? I mean, what's the point? You see a boxer, he has a jab and he can't use it? What are you talking about? So that pisses me off.
I've probably only spent, optimistically, maybe 15% of my training time in Chinese arts. And still the thing that drives me nuts is when you have the Chi master getting owned by an MMA fighter.
Oh, that's bullshit.
And then they go, this is representative of Kung Fu.
No, that's bullshit.
And it's some delusional human
exactly,
with
100%.
no training.
It's very that's a competing a multi-billion-dollar industry that wants to make you look bad. I can show you some kung fu guys you want to pick. I'll pick one right now. Derek Johnson, Sifu Derek Johnson in the States. He will clobber these guys. He's a big man, you know. He's an ex-police officer. You know him?
Yeah.
So he's a tough guy. I wouldn't fight that guy. You know what I mean?
No.
So I know. I love you too, Derek. Okay. So there's all kinds of people out there. In China, there's all kinds of Charlie Foot guys who rock it, you know. But they're picking some nutcase, basically, you know. That's
good for me. This drives me nuts. Do you have any martial arts movies that you like that get something right about training, that have some element in it that is, because I know they're very extrapolated and exaggerated.
You know, I think the martial arts movies brought us to like fall in love with martial arts, and as we get skilled, I can barely watch them anymore. It's such so far from reality. If you ask me my favorite martial arts movies, and I really don't watch them anymore, would be Seven Samurai. Because that's real, because it's one move and the guy's dead. You know, and that's like I used to like the old Shaw Brothers movies where they leave their arm out and he blocks whatever. But you know, it's a little kitsch by today's standards. But what was the 36 Chambers? That was a famous movie. I like that movie. And Shaolin versus Lama. I like the Lama. It's funny, when I first learned White Crane, but there's another White Crane that's like that. I thought I was doing that one till about a year later. I didn't know the difference. You know, it's funny.
As exaggerated as they are, I would give them this credit that they always, 20% of the movie is conditioning. They always emphasize you gotta do, and so I was doing so much crazy conditioning.
And they also hired real kung fu guys in those old movies because it was cheaper than you know, getting stunt guys. So
of course the old guys were 30 in a white wig, which
Of course,
It's like, man, that guy moves well.
Yeah.
Another area that I think has a lot of misunderstanding, and a big part of it is there's a lot of intentional marketing that's misguided, is the idea of energy, internal energy. How do you approach this in your training?
So, I think in Chinese, they have a habit of using the word qi in many different ways, and that's really confusing to people. So they could say, the qi here is good, or this rock's qi is good, this lake's qi is good. So that's one way. So that's very confusing to people. I'm going to go to what I know, and I'm not a great expert on Qigong, okay? We refer to it as air. And some people will say, I'm going to look at it like the energy of this place, the air within the body, like making the air and then moving it, okay? And then past the air is the like electricity or energy. So that's not quite the same thing, and people confuse them, you know? I think my advice to people is, if you learn Qigong, only learn one. Don't learn from YouTube. Don't play with things like that. It's dangerous. If you do it wrong and you hurt yourself, who's going to fix it? You're going to need a super fantastic acupuncturist. So easy.
Yeah, people underestimate.
White Crane, it's like, well, you know Sanchin?
Yes, of course.
So Sanchin is, from our point of view, really hard. For us, it's the same thing.
Yes.
And we just move the air. But see, there's no muscular tension whatsoever.
I was remarking before, because this perfectly stable shoulder position comes from the Southern Kung Fu.
Yes.
And Sanchin has this, right?
Yes.
We stole it. And then the jar work.
We do a lot of jar work. You know.
So the best teachers that I've enjoyed the most in Sanchin had the slightest amount of up and down buoyancy, that little bit of elasticity, but nothing close to what I use in sparring. And so I oftentimes exaggerate it in my solo work. I kind of freeform it, but I think it's much closer to what you guys are doing inherently, because it's so important to have that. In the Russian arts, they call it the spinning top, this up and down.
I think, things evolve, and sometimes it's different than the original. It could be better. It could be just as good. It just depends.
And the terrain, the climate.
So, and the other white cranes are famous for being Sanchin based. We call Sanjan. My flying crane is not Sanjan based. We have forms called Sanjan. They're not particularly relevant. They're not 3 steps forwards, 3 steps back. However, half our basics are 3 steps forwards, 3 steps back. But the breathing, same, like I'll give you a weird one. People ask me, how do you breathe? And I'm like, yeah, you don't really want to know. And the guys, what do you mean? So how we breathe, the real way, we take the air, stick it down here, and we don't breathe. And we do everything.
Yes, like a reverse Qigong, reverse abdominal.
Yeah. And they go, how can you do that? Well, a fight's going to last about 4 seconds, probably 3.
But this is Valsalvic breathing, like a power lifter.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. So you're saying you actually physically take 3 steps forward, 3 steps back? And what?
And the drills, of course.
But it's interesting because we have a white crane form, which I would never show you because I'd be embarrassed. But it's all 3 steps forward and either hopping back or 3 steps forward, 3 steps back.
Yeah. Apparently, a long time ago, and this is, I don't know the history, it had a meaning like loyalty, revenge, and that got lost over time.
Yeah.
And the white crane, at least our branch, kind of backed out of politics. There's a lot of revolutions against the Manchu. We kept losing all the time. So somebody went, yeah, let's just focus on our kung fu and get out of politics here, whatever.
Yeah, because there was a deep involvement.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you, as the head, obviously you're keeping the tradition pure.
I'm certainly trying to.
Do you feel any sort of ethical or any sort of moral responsibility, or what's your view? Because a lot of times, traditional martial art myth is that you come to learn discipline and ethics. Increasingly, a lot of modern instructors are like, we don't teach morality. You got to bring this,
No way.
Yes.
This is one of any real Sifu, like learned the old-fashioned way. First thing you teach is ethics and manners. It's a rule.
Yes.
Okay. That's why my teacher taught slowly, because he wanted to get to know me.
Yeah.
And then he got to know me. So yes. So I have. There's 2 points to this. First of all, because I loved my teacher and I loved my grandmaster, I have an ethical responsibility to share this art with the world.
Yeah.
So this is very important for me. This is my life's journey. And he wanted me to, he asked me to, and I'm doing it. So that's A. B, part of this art is teaching kids manners, ethics. Today I had a boy, I taught him something, he didn't say thank you. And I says, you want to say thank you? And he says, thank you. I says, you're welcome. And I didn't do it because I have an ego. He needs to learn. In life, you need to say thank you when somebody's spending time,
Yes.
So that's our job, basically. So it's very, very important, and you can't skip that. There's no way. I completely disagree with students, with people who say that. To me, that's, now you're doing something else. It's not martial arts anymore.
Yeah, and I think it's existed, up and down throughout the history of martial arts. I think there have been periods of rebellion where people think this is the new way. And I think in MMA, it's very popular in a lot of the fight gyms to say, we're a fight gym, we don't need that. But then you see people retrofitting it, adding morality, adding...
Also, it happens in any sport, but in MMA, unfortunately, it happens a lot. We see really despicable behavior by the fighters, like rude to the other fighter or attacking the referee or whatever it is, and you're like, yeah, it's really not cool. And that's hurting their MMA. So if you're promoting MMA, this is not promoting MMA. So you want to have class. And there's a lot of great MMA fighters who have class. But when you see those deplorable examples, that's not cool. That should not happen. And now, in traditional martial arts, you have to be careful, because I've seen a lot of people talk a good game, but actions speak louder than words.
Now, you've also trained in Choi Li Fu a little. You did some Wing Chun. Yeah. A lot of traditional teachers are very much like only focus on this and don't cross-train. What's your view
My
on this?
opinion is this. Okay, I'll explain to you what I did and why. So I learned several arts because my first teacher insisted.
Yes.
Okay, it wasn't out of choice. So I learned Wing Chun because he was learning Wing Chun. He wanted me to learn Wing Chun. I didn't really want, but I did. Wing Chun is a great system. It was a great lineage.
Yeah.
I have felt no attraction, especially when you're coming from a complex system.
Yeah.
Wing Chun is rather simple. Simplicity can be great, but it gets a bit boring for a guy who's used to doing spear, double swords, and then you're like, we're only going to do this all the time. So that's why I studied other arts, because I was kind of encouraged to. As I drifted off and focused, I always focused more on my white crane. It's like a musician. You play guitar, you can play mandolin and bass, but in the end, you're a guitar player. Yes. So in the end, I was always a guitar player. And at some point, I just realized you can't be good at everything. In my opinion, jack of all trades, master of none. And in some sports, like in MMA, 100% you have to learn some. If I have no groundwork, of course they're just going to nail me, you know. So you have to have a bit of jack of all trades, but be careful because you're still not a master of anything. And when you fight a guy who's only good at one thing, you know, that guy who like the Thai boxer like Wakao, his leg kick's gonna finish you in one kick or two kicks, or the Sambo guy he's gonna nail you. So you have to be careful. My White Crane teacher always told me better study one thing. If you're studying for fun, if you're studying for exercise, for health, have fun. If you're studying for skill in actual real combat, it's not a sport, real combat, you better just be a jack. Just know one thing and be like ridiculous. Like Bill Superfoot, I'll say he only has kicks. It's not true, but he's so good, you're never gonna get any. You know, so that's the Chorley foot. It's a weird story. It's 1994. I'm doing a demo, and I do double broadsword. And there's this little Chinese guy with a pack of cigarettes written Shaolin Kung Fu, you know, dirty, whatever. And he goes, "You're pretty good for a white guy." So I was like, okay, thinking he was insulting me, but I didn't say nothing. He gets on stage. It's the best double broadsword I ever saw in my life. I wanted to hide under a desk. He was fantastic, you know. What he meant is I never saw a white guy who was good. So that's what he was trying to say. We became friends. His name is Chu Kwok Chong. He's still alive. He's in China now. And his Chorley foot was fantastic. So then I was having problems, politics with my original teacher. So I said, fuck it. I'm going to go learn Chorley foot. Then my White Crane master, after that came from Malaysia and fixed everything. And I was like, I already studied Chorley foot. He goes, don't worry about it. And they got along fine. So I was like, thank the Lord, because it's kind of scary, you know. And I really like Chorley foot. But what I realized, it's not the style, it's the student. Because I saw Chorley foot guys, I'm like, he couldn't fight with his way out of a wet paper bag. It just depends on the guy. My teacher, his name is Chu Kwok Chong, as I said, he's 5'3". And he used to fight for money, for real in the 70s, challenges left and right, no gloves, nothing like that. So it's the real deal. So his strategy is always go from the outside and knock him out. He's not fucking right. So you can.
They're hitting with the mid-range?
He has his, normally Chorley foot will hit this way with the sao like this. He actually hits this way because he's afraid to hurt his hand. I actually hit with this because I'm afraid to hurt my hand too, because it's a very powerful blow. I hit with this, you hit anybody with this around the neck, the guy's going down, you know. But he would, I'll share this one secret. My Sifu said there's only one place in the whole world, right here. So he's just waiting to see, and then whack! You know, he's just looking for that setup for the sao. So I learned that off him. People go, how could you mix White Crane and Chorley foot? I swear to God, I just took the parts that I like and it works for me. You know what I mean? Normally it's like if one doesn't work, I'm like, okay, plan B, and I'll try something completely different, you know? And it scares people because it's like very wild swinging. So
now you spoke about the need to focus on some stuff because there's so much. Even within White Crane, if you just focus on that, it's a huge system.
Yes. You
have, is it correct, 18 weapons that you're teaching?
Actually, Chinese people like because the numbers are related to religion.
Yes.
So 18, 36, 72, 108, these are all numbers. So if you look at the Tai Chi form or Wing Chun Dummy, that doesn't come out. That's 111. No, it's 108. This is one move. Okay, whatever. So the same for White Crane. There's actually a lot more than 18 weapons.
Okay. And I imagine you have to have a sense of all of them. But there must be some that
Yes, I'm not as skilled. For example, I don't like hook swords. I never liked hook swords.
Do you have a favorite weapon? I've seen you
I would say, you know, over time we changed. I used to like bladed weapons, and then you get bored. I used to hate spear, and now I don't mind spear. I would say staff, just because Southern systems are always good in staff, and my grandmaster and my master were really good with staff.
And it's a long staff, right?
It's a long staff, The thing is about long staff, this is a true story. In Malaysia in the 50s, the Chinese and the Malays didn't always get along. So I had an uncle, I can say his name because I'm pretty sure he passed away. His name was Lim Chun Hock. He was 5'1", tough as nails. He was full contact, no gloves. I'm not sure if it's 73, 70, or 67. Second in the world, no gloves. The first in the world had lost all his teeth. So this guy's hardcore. His fingers right through a door, like he's hardcore. So they have a problem with the Malay guys cruising the Chinese girls in front of the Malay Silat school. Okay, this is in the 50s. I wasn't even bored. I'm just repeating the story. You know? So anyways, so they asked the Kung Fu guys, who are local tough guys, can you go talk to the, so he goes and he talks to them. So the Silat master takes offense. He tried to be polite, but the Silat master got mad. He gotta fucking challenge you. So he's okay. So he says, so the Silat master says, I'll take short staff, thinking, oh, they use long staff, so I'll beat them with my short staff.
Oh.
You know what he did? Right in the
Don't-
face. Pah!
Yes.
All his teeth out. And then he said, you're stupid. If I can use a 7-foot stick, you know how easy it is, the 5-foot stick?
Yeah.
You know, like so. Anyways, I wasn't there, but that's the story I was told. But this guy was hardcore. When I studied with him a little bit, I have him on video of it. My teacher went to me, be careful. And I was like, he never says that, you know? Oh, this guy, Lim Chon Hok, had
Cuts.
samurai sword. He fought on the street. The guy swung like, I don't know, 5 minutes, whatever. And then he finally got the sword. The guy ran away. I mean, he was cut 4 times, but he survived. And he told me, it's interesting, his shoes were finished from, shit, man. This is real. Malaysia, until recently, they don't fight with guns. They fight with swords, man. So it's not a joke, you know.
Yeah, I specialized in Joe in short staff, and my sensei always said, but you still have to do long in case you fight somebody with long or with a spear, you know. And it always stuck with me, like the short, it's close.
And
to
you
a
know what?
katana,
I look at Aikido, and I would say 70% of the Joe moves I recognize. I could give the name in Chinese. It's the same move, man. You know, it's like we all do this and that.
But I will say fully the conditioning difference on the long staff it's a lot harder. It's crazy. Is there, if you had to think of like one of the most old school traditional conditioning methods you still maintain, what would be one that's either a favorite or that's kind of...
So I'm very old fashioned, okay? It's just my character. So I maintain them all, okay?
Do you have a favorite or one right now?
I don't have a favorite. I think some things are necessary, okay? So the minimum requirement in my flying crane is that your phoenix eye is solid. You can punch a bag full of sand and be comfortable. So that, because in self-defense, move number 32, page 4. Well, you're finished already. Okay? It needs to be just boom. What happened? I don't know. Was a reflex.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was a reflex is the correct answer. Agreed?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know? So it's happened to me. I put guys down one punch.
Yeah.
And it was like my teacher always gave me shit for it. He always scared I would hurt somebody. You know.
Yeah.
But at a reflex, and I threw it, but I threw this.
Yeah.
Not this.
Yes.
This. Here is
It's
fucking
terrible.
You know? So and the guy went down. I was like, what the heck? The guy went because a big guy like you're bigger than me. But the guy went down right away. And I was and my teacher, you idiot. I'm like, but that's what it's supposed to be. So for my white crane, phoenix eye, forearms is minimum.
Yeah. Next,
chop. Because if you practice chop but you can't chop, is bullshit. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. You know, I like to say the truth. Jars is very important for us.
I love jars.
It's, yes.
Yeah, I love them.
One thing I see the wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys are very strong, and I'm told it's because they're always grabbing the gi, and I'm like, I wish I had that part. We actually take a bundle like tomato sticks, put them together, and we roll them like that.
Yes.
So it's a similar idea.
Well, this is what I told one of my students. They have that new $300 Gripzilla forearm conditioner. I said, just take
hardware store, man.
For 10 sticks.
Of course.
Same, you know.
I have them in
or
the back.
wet rag and twist.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the jars I do very regularly. The sticks on occasion. This I don't train anymore because it's done. And now I train my fingers. I don't recommend that for people. It should be only for senior students. Yeah. Again, you know, you get the overzealous young person and can I do the iron palm and the fingers, and you can barely do the basics. That's bullshit. Yeah. You have to be good in Kung Fu, and then we can slowly start when you're mature and intelligent. And you know,
the only one I took out, I do all the iron palm still in Makiwara, but back of hand, for whatever reason, I'm an artist, I paint, and I started getting like twitches from that.
I used to do this and I stopped because I was writing like even a doctor was like, what are you writing? I'm like, you know, you have to be, if you're an artist, it's a forget it.
Oof,
acupuncturist, artist, very minimum. That's one of my girls, Anastasia. She's a really good artist. So I told her, don't do that. You know, just do a little bit. Just you know.
Do you have any sort of, or is there a favorite modern training element that you've integrated? Is there any modern addenda that you?
I think I integrated yoga because I always had, I probably have poor posture. I always had poor posture, and with the fighting arts, of course, we're squishing our shoulders, making it even worse. Yeah. So I learned yoga to relax, which we could use, and so I integrated as much yoga as I could. Interestingly enough, when I was learning yoga, sometimes the breathing exercises were identical, and I was like, what? You know, so a lot of it, and then in Europe, knowledge went from Greece to Rome to the world. In Asia, it went from India to China to the world. So a lot of the stuff is like, you know, same in Indian martial arts, they have the same pressure points, the same meridians. So it's like, So I took from yoga. you know, like the strength training
Yeah.
has always been like how to do it. Is it good? Is it? In White Crane, we're not big on that because it's all about speed. So that's may or may not be useful. This being said, I have a student called Etienne Métayer, who was a 3 times full contact champion in the US Goshu, which is some Rio stuff. And he was in great shape. And even my teacher went, yeah, I guess being in shape doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? It's so I'm still learning. I'm not. It's not my expertise. My expertise is traditional kung fu. So for me, I just integrated the yoga, and I keep an open mind. I try to learn. If like now my back is sore, if I see an exercise, I'll certainly try to learn it. So I'll give you an example of things to be careful of. This is where like when I see guys mix things, like, are you sure you're competent? So when I was young, my kung fu brother's name's Ken Glegg. He was good friends with George Cherry. That generation. These are tough guys, you know. Ken would skip rope. Lorne, you should skip rope. And I'm skipping rope and my shoulders are getting tense. I'm not very good at it and I'm skipping rope. And then years later, I realized, no. Skipping rope is to make you light on your feet. But the first thing you learn in kung fu is to be rooted. So practice being rooted for 5 years. Then you can skip rope. But if you skip rope at the beginning while you're trying, so skipping rope is good for a kung fu guy, but later, in my opinion, not right away. Because I want to be rooted at first, and then we want to be light on our feet. And most people are either one or the other. But we want both, you know?
That's right. Well, even a boxer like Mike Tyson wasn't big on skipping. He was really like low bouncing kind of leg work and
the power,
similar movement. I think anybody who owns any martial arts dojo always has to contend with MMA, BJJ. You have good students, they come in. I think it's natural for them to be lured by the media, the marketing. How do you address that? Do you allow people just say, go and explore? Or do you feel that, does it happen in your style? Do you have people saying,
I don't have a lot of students. I think my students are happy with me. Okay. You know, as a teacher, first you have to be a good teacher. Second of all, you have to have charisma. A guy with no charisma is not going to be successful. 100%. You know, you have to be a likable person. You have to care about your students. If you just care about yourself, how great you are, that's a lousy teacher, right? So I think that's part of it. So I don't really have that issue. I will tell them the truth. I go, if you want to try another art, that's fine. But if you ask me my opinion, it's best to study one thing. What I will often tell people, instead, this is a rookie mistake. Taekwondo has great kicks. I'm going to learn Taekwondo. Okay. Boxing has great hands. I'm going to learn boxing. Okay. Sambo has great. And then you realize, but you're not going to be as good as any of those guys because you're doing too many things. So what I would like to do is Taekwondo has great kicks. Why? What do they do? Look how he turns his hip. Look how he set it up. Look how he brought up his knee. Boxing has great hands. Why? Well, first of all, he practices real fighting, not shadow boxing for 25 years, whatever, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So let's look at why, and then take that in your art. Or I remember one of my techniques, we sweep always on the outside. Never occurred to me to sweep on the inside, which was dumb, of course. But then I see that, you guys sweep on the inside? Yeah. Oh, shit. And I asked my teacher, of course. I'm like, for Christ's sakes, you know, like, so we can learn from the other people without necessarily having to learn their art, you know? That's how I see it.
Perfect sense. If you think back to your very first class, you walked into your first class, what would it have taken, or is there anything that it would have taken for you to have quit and say, martial arts isn't for me?
If the teacher was a complete jerk, like a egotistical narcissist, that I would be, forget it. So that would have been, or I didn't, because I was a hippie kind of guy, you know, I didn't like the military, yes sir, no sir, fuck off. Because again, that has nothing to do with actual fighting. It's that's just a cultural, you know, whatever. There's nothing to do. If you
Don't get me started.
Same, I see guys, in my school we do 500 push-ups. Good, now you're a push-up champion. You want to fight? What? It's not going to be the same thing, sweetheart. You know?
Exactly.
Your push-ups won't even stop my jab. You know what I mean? Like, so push-ups are good, but don't confuse the two, you know? Same, I see people, he's a tough guy. I know a lot of tough guys, broken nose, all his teeth missing, ear ripped off, can't fight worth shit, but he's tough. Now, if he's tough and a good fighter, that's a different story, you know? But that's not the same thing, you know? Like,
As a Westerner, white guy on canvas had to have been tough.
Yes, well, so the racism, of course, exists in every culture and in every direction. In Canada, there was racism mainly from the older generation Chinese towards whites. And my wife is Chinese, so I understand. Basically, because they were victims of racism. Of course. My in-laws were not properly buried on Mount Royal here in Montreal because they weren't Catholic. son of a bitch, they wouldn't give him a tombstone. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
but that's what happened.
Not that
You know?
long ago. Yeah.
So when I learned in Montreal, some older Chinese would use like guai-lo or lo fan, which is words like, say it to my face and we'll see if you say it again, you know? Because guai-lo means ghost man and lo fan means old barbarian. And some people will use those words and not even realize they're racist. Maybe like a guy in the South uses the N-word, which I would never say.
Yeah.
He doesn't realize, but that's a racist word. Don't use that word. So I'll just tell the guy, don't say that again. So there was a bit of that. Interestingly, in Malaysia, it's the opposite, right? It's the white guy privilege. They're like, look, I have a white guy who wants to learn from me.
Yeah.
So that was cool. I was treated like gold, basically, you know? Yeah. So I got it both ways. But my Chinese friends were always nice. They never used those words with me. And if you did, I say, don't say that, please. It's an ignorant word, you know? And so, yeah, it is what it is. And then what it made me do when I started teaching was a problem. Because what it made me do is I had to be good because they're like, well, who's that? Oh, he's pretty good. The other thing, the most interestingly, racism given by your own. The worst racism I got was from white people in Canada, French Canadians in Canada. Yep. I want to learn off a Chinese guy. And I'm like,
yeah,
really? You know, like, so they, that reverse racism. And the stupid thing, like real racism always hurts the racist.
Yeah.
So I want to learn off of Chinese guys. Okay, so the guy comes, he studied at Shanghai University, 2 years of Tai Chi, comes here, Grandmaster Chen. Yeah. They learn off him. Turns out he can't fight. He doesn't know much. I know more about Chinese culture than he does.
Yeah.
But it's their racism that made him pick him.
Yep.
You know, so it is what it is. And I used to have a problem with that. And now I just call it, I go, look, if you think that you have to be Chinese to be a Kung Fu master, you're an idiot. Yeah. You know?
It's probably a blessing.
Well, yeah, I just call him on it. They say like Stevie Ray Vaughan, one of the greatest guitar players ever. Yeah. He's white, dude. You know, sorry, he's a blues guy. How come he's not black? Well, it's irrelevant. Yeah. And especially in today's day and age, how many African-American Sifu are there that are fantastic? Yep. There's all kinds. There's my friend Pedro Cepiro, he's Puerto Rican. He's fantastic. Yeah. So the race has nothing to it. And the old Chinese guys, they just want to find the guy who wants to learn, you know? And and sometimes like myself, half Scotch-Irish, half French-Canadian, drinking in the family, broken family. I was just so happy to find a home with manners, with ethics. I was so happy to find that. So that's what needed for me.
What's the craziest things ever happened to you in a demo?
I never had too many issues in a demo. I got two stories for you. One is, it's not crazy, it's just weird. In 2013, my master asked me to come and do a demo. So I got to take a plane to go to Malaysia. And I'm like, seriously, guy? Like, it better be a big demo. He goes, oh, there's 500 people. So we go to a village called Muka. And it's, you know, a small town. I'm literally the only white guy there, you know. And everybody's very nice, beautiful town. And so we do the show. And I get on stage and I start and I get mixed up because I'm nervous. So when you get mixed up, just do anything and do it hard, right? Yeah. And as I'm doing it, like bam, 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 I hear the crowd, ooh. They were like, ooh. And I was like, what the fuck's the matter? My teacher goes, they're impressed. So that was weird because the crowd's reaction was like, and then he kept, get back on stage, do another one. Because they loved it. So that was a weird story, you know? I got another story, but it wasn't me. But this one's interesting. It was, I can say because he passed away. It was Sifu Lorne, who when I was a kid was the president of the Kung Fu Federation. I was vice president. So he was a Wu-style Tai Chi master in the Chole. You know him, yeah, okay.
Of course. I think we both went to his 65th birthday party.
Well, there you go. Yes, that's right. And he died a year or two later. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Anyhow, so I always respected him. He was nice to me. When I was a kid, I always remember that. I owe him big time. He goes to me, you want to be a teacher? I said, yes, sir. He goes, can I give you advice? I'm, of course. He goes, practice every day. Best advice I ever got. You know what I mean? Like, so that I owe Sifu Lorne. Anyhow, so one time he's doing a demo. We used to do demos, the Kung Fu Federation. So he had White Crane, Wing Chun, Tai Chi, Chole Foot, whatever, all together. You know? So he says a demo and he would ask people to punch him in the arm. Yeah. So the guy comes on stage and he's like warming up and swinging his legs. I'm like, what the heck is this, you know? And the guy punches him like way too enthusiastically, and then he elbows him, but he never asked him to elbow him. You know, so that wasn't cool, you know? Yeah. So I'm like, okay, and it goes by. Next year, same thing, same guy. So and there was a guy called Ronnie, a big guy. It's like, Ronnie, you're gonna have a problem. This guy's looking for trouble here, you know? And Liman Chani is like, and so Wu style Tai Chi is famous for their sweeps. And if you know anything about Wu style Tai Chi, is they make you fall down in a way you shouldn't fall down. Like they're putting you in a way that you're going to hurt yourself. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. There's going to be no break fall, you know? Yeah. So unfortunately for the guy throwing the unwanted elbows, he fell down. He fell down, he landed on his wrist, and I think he broke his wrist. And I looked at Li Man Chan, and I looked at him, and he just smiled, and I was like, son of a bitch, he did that on purpose.
Yeah, 100%.
And it was beautiful. That's a real Kung Fu master. He defended himself. He had no choice. He defended himself. He did it properly, and it was an accident. You just can't, even the cops were like, yeah, it's cool. So that was a nice thing. But for me personally, I never had too many troubles.
Did you ever have a point where you questioned your martial path? Whether, like, is this style right for me, or too many injuries, should I quit?
The injuries, sadly, out of my arrogance, showed up later in life. So my knees are kind of shot now because I refused to not do the positions properly. And there's a lot of low positions when I should have been smarter and said, okay, I'm getting a bit old, I can skip that one. Now I skip them. And now my students, I get a 45-year, no, don't do that, it's too hard. We have some like weird cross-legged positions that are meant for short people with legs like this and in good shape, whatever.
That's what young students are for.
Exactly, so I forgot the question, I'm sorry.
Did you ever have a point where you questioned the path?
So injuries did not make me question the path. And people will say, oh, you should do Tai Chi. Screw you, okay? Yeah. I like Tai Chi. There's nothing wrong with Tai Chi. I do White Crane. I'm a White Crane guy. There's no reason. You could do White Crane till the day you died. It's just that stupid logic. Where I questioned my path was when I was stuck in the Kung Fu politics. So in the year 2000, my first teacher, we had differences. I just wouldn't talk to him no more. My teacher came from Malaysia. He went to Toronto to see what was going on. And he saw what was going on. He came back, it's a funny story. He goes, Lorne's mad at me. And my other friend goes, yeah, I think so. He goes, how do Canadians fix that? Because he doesn't know. He says, buy him a case of beer and give him a hug. So all of a sudden, my teacher gives me a case of beer. I don't drink. And I'm like, what the fuck? And he gives me a hug. And he never hugs me. And I'm like, okay, we're good. And then he understood the situation. And I told him, look, I don't want to learn from that guy no more. I close the school. I'll work at McDonald's. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And he just said, no, it's okay. That was the only time I said, if you want me to stop, I'll stop. But I can't. The gentleman is a fine gentleman. We just weren't getting along. So I just couldn't work with him no more. It's like a business partner. It's just not working out. Yeah. And that was the only time I questioned. But I've questioned myself. So if, let's say I'm fighting with a gentleman and like, I have a student, a fantastic kicker. He's like 6'3". And when I first met him, he was kicking me like, and I was like, okay, I better start working on kicks because in White Crane, we're so hand-oriented. Yeah. We don't think about it that much. Now we have, so what did I do is I went back to my notes and started practicing. I asked my teacher, oh, just do that. And I'm like, okay. And then we learn, And it, like, Kung Fu guys from the South, their hands are so good, they just kind of dismiss kicks. Yeah. But they didn't fight Chong Li's best students. And or whatever, I'm using Chong Li. In Montreal in the 80s, there was some really good kickers out there, man. Yun Odang. These guys are nasty. So to say, oh, kicks are useless is a guy who didn't fight kicks. Same, I have some White Crane uncle, oh, Charlie Foot is useless. It looks like swimming, easy to stop. I'm like, yeah, you never fought Charlie Foot. Yeah. So look, we're wide open, right? Except the first hand took your hands out, you're wide open. Yeah. And now it's not I'm wide open, you're wide open. Oh, I didn't know. Yeah. So,
If you could sit with the founder of your style and ask them any one question,
I would say, take me as your student. Smart. Show matters right away. Yeah. I would ask her a million questions because Yeah,
it's deep.
Yeah. But I know for sure, I'd give her a bottle of scotch, oranges, and please take me as your student.
Here's a hard one, or odd one. If you had to describe your martial arts philosophy as like a book title or a movie title, what would you say it would be?
You have to let me think for a second.
Yeah. Even if it's just you as an individual, what would you say summarizes your martial philosophy?
I have to think. I can't answer. I just can't think of anything right now. Give me a second. I'll come back.
How would you summarize your own approach as an individual? Because you obviously have to make choices about what you're great at, what you're specializing in.
For me, my thing was preserving ancient art and keeping it alive. Because sometimes you might show up too late and you're preserving what's left.
Yes.
So maybe, for example, they know all the forms, but the applications are lost. That happens all the time. Yeah. So I think I got most of it. So I'm lucky. And my teacher I remember at the end, he was showing me all kinds. I'm like, why are you showing me this? And he was like, and then I was like, okay, and a lot of grabbing the biceps and stuff like that, So I think that's the important stuff for me.
I was speaking to Sifu Smith last week.
Sure.
And I said, do you ever modernized? You get rid of stuff that you don't like, and he says, no, just in case I don't understand it yet, right? I just keep it, you preserve.
Well, you know Willem de Tours?
Yes, of course.
So that's his line. He says, Bruce Lee said, absorb what is useful, discard. He says, no, absorb what is useful and keep the rest for later when you actually understand. Right. I have a move like this, Wu Mei Xianso. So you look, oh, this is flowery crap. It's a fucking great move. Then you see the Kuxel Wan founder, he does it all the time. I'm looking, it's the same move. So as a beginner, this is you don't use it on a jab or but it has its place. When you have its place. When I do this, the guy's overpowering me. Pop, broken arm, done. And I was like, easy to use. But as a beginner, it was over my head. Say my grandmaster used to teach me. He'd stand in a cat stance, he'd move his knee like that, and he'd giggle. So I'm like, all due respect, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
Now I understand. He gets close to pop down. So he was teaching me an advanced technique. It was just above my head. I was too young. And now I get it. And he goes in the cat stance. So he raises his knee. So he presses. So.
What's in store for you in the near future?
For the last few years, I wrote 2-3 books. I did DVDs. It's done. I'm tired of writing books. So maybe I'll write one like stories. But aside from that, I don't think so. My main thing is. Ensuring my instructors, I have a generation of instructors that are actually competent. One of the things I always avoided was becoming a McDonald's of White Crane Kung Fu. I don't want that. So if the guy can't make the 10, then too bad. You can't, then I don't care, leave. So I'm focusing on that, and I think it's working out. I have several good students, and my boys are like in their 45, 55 years old, some tough guys there. But I have some young ladies who are really good, who are in their 20s, and I'm talking real good, real good. So I showed them everybody, oh my God, when they started when they were kids, and I taught them as much as I can. So as long as I can share my knowledge, and I'm trying to hurry up, I'm not, the old Chinese ways, au compte-gouttes, like a drop at a time, and that makes sense. But if the person can absorb, I want to teach. I could die tomorrow, I don't know. So I want to teach, And I'm also videotaping myself doing all the advanced forms. So if I die, there's a videotape, and that's ensuring the future.
Now, in case you're too humble to say it, I will say it. We are directly beside your store, Contact Sport, which is contact with a K. I will say it unabashedly, it is the best store by far, not only in Montreal, but anywhere in Canada or anywhere online that I buy from. Fantastic equipment. Do you guys deliver? Do you do international orders? How far do you go?
Yeah, we of course we deliver mainly through in Canada, but we sell like the books we sell all over the world, of course. Business. I started in 1993. What happened is in 1993 I had 2 kung fu schools, and I saw you can't really make money teaching authentic Chinese martial arts the authentic way, where you're not high-fiving and making him pass grades and all this stuff. So what can I do? So I was gonna get another job in my field of study, which is political science, or I have to prostitute myself and have whatever was popular at the day in 1993. And then I thought of a martial arts supply store, and so I did the martial arts supply store, and hard work and honesty. And I always tell my employees, always be honest. If there's a defect, tell the guy we're selling at half price because there's a defect. And good customer service, which today is old school. Like a customer calls us, we call him back. He wants a pink judo uniform. Let me see what I can do. I'll try at least. If I can't, but at least I tried. Tried out on a big company. Wouldn't even answer your call. You know what I mean? So customer service is very important.
I remember you were located on Blurry before?
Yes.
I used to go and buy Jiao off you.
Is that right?
Wow. And then way back in the day, we're talking.
Now 90s. I'm afraid to sell it.
Yeah.
I won't sell it no more because I'm afraid I'll get sued one day.
Somebody's going to drink it and say, hey, this
it's not worth it. The company's making, big coin.
And I will say it because I do a lot of Makiwara videos. By far, the best quality and the cheapest one I've ever found in my life is from your store. Don't go raising your price. But if you want, you're selling your Makiwara with the base and pole cheaper than some people sell the base. And I smack on this thing every day, guys. It's fantastic quality. So check it out if you're looking for one. And your focus mitts and everything else there. Every download I have, you'll see.
You know what it is? It's because we're martial artists. Every guy working in the store. So when I get focus pads, I try them. When I get gloves, I put them on. I go, what the heck? What are you doing?
I remember when your first generations came out, you were super honest. You said this was ripping. We redid this. We added the.
That's right.
World of difference.
And of course, an intelligent person is intelligent enough to know they don't know everything. So if a jiu-jitsu gentleman comes, your uniform's wrong. What's wrong with it? ABC. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to learn. And then If you want to learn, you can learn. I always think the dumbest person in the world is somebody who thinks they know it all. Those are beyond help, you know. So.
Do you give seminars outside of your association if people are interested?
Of course, I give a lot of seminars. I do quite a few with the World Kabuto.
Yes.
I get invited here and there, and I give them whenever I get invited. Basically, I'm happy to do so.
If people want to get in touch with you, what's the easiest way?
But they can reach the whitecranekungfu.com. Send a message. My employee will pass it to me. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And I will put all your contact info,
Thank
including
you.
links for your books and DVDs and your store. Sifu, I want to thank you very much for taking the time.
My honor.
I
Thank you
really
very much.
appreciate it. Guys, if you're ever in the Montreal area, I know I'm here, but you should check out Sifu Lorne. His stuff is incredible. Check out his books. I still have your first edition of your first.
That's a rare book.
I'm keeping that one.
Yeah, that's a rare book.
Fantastic. And I want to thank everybody for watching and for listening. Thank you for the requests. Please keep them coming. And until next week, guys, stay safe and stay strong.